Yo, welcome to this wonderful Hump Day episode of the Logistics Lounge. Today in the lounge, we have broker slash ex carrier Ryan Van Brocklin going to talk about some logistics and transportation stuff. What else? Also, in our logistics news segment, we're going to touch on some fraud, people being sentenced for all the nastiness that they're doing in our industry. But before we get to that, Hunter, how's your day?
It's been good, man. It's been good. This week's been dragging on, but hey man, we're over the hump day. Another day in paradise.
I feel that, brother. I feel that. How was your day, Ryan?
Oh man, yeah, hump day it was. I didn't even realize that the week's flying by. Yeah, day was good. Working on getting a new customer set up and just trying to negotiate payment terms and stuff like that, and get that moving.
Nice. Well, my day, fine day. Just another day moving freight, talking to prospects, dealing with carriers. Same old, same old, same old. We're going, or wow, man, brain fart. Holy crap! 5 minutes ahead of my damn self. Woo woo. Before we get into our news segment and then move on to Ryan here, we're going to throw some love to our sponsors. Today's sponsors are the same sponsors they were yesterday because we're so amazing and people just want to sponsor us and we can't turn them away.
Welcome to the future of trucking with Lane Runner. Up to the minute, trustworthy spot market freight rates. Experience real-time, full truckload spot market rates at your fingertips. Stay ahead with our advanced rate alert system, ensuring you never miss a market move. Gain insights with our detailed high and low paying lane reports. Make informed decisions with comprehensive market reports tailored for your business needs. Lane Runner, accurate, real-time spot market freight rates at your fingertips. Efficiency, reliability, and profitability all in one platform. Join Lane Runner today and take your logistics to the next level. Spot market, spot on.
And you know what else that you can't get away from is the amazing freaking deal and all the money that you're going to save when you go and factor with SureLineCapital.com. If you're out there paying 2.5% or more right now, you're doing business with the wrong person. SureLine starts at 2.5%. They go down to 1.5%, maybe a little less for all you huge fleet operators out there. Use that code scrolling at the bottom of your screen, Lounge365. Get your first invoice up to $2,500 factored for free. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Now, something that we love to talk about here is fraud, and all the schemes that go in to fraud. Because I tell you, there are endless ones out there. And today, our news is going to be about a couple of stories that we touched on not too long ago, and give you some updates on them, as well as feed you a new story about some people getting caught doing dirty business to FedEx. So without further ado, man, bro, it has been like a hot minute since we have done the news, dude. like for real. It is just, oh man, it ain't that there has been a shortage of news. It is just, I don't know. We just haven't done it. And I kick myself in the butt for it. All right. This article right here actually has 3 different stories of schemes that are going on in the industry right now. So people that have been held are being held responsible. All right. This first one stems from an article that we talked about last year. It is an instance with a group of people that staged accidents in the New Orleans area and then filed fraudulent suits against tractor or carriers. The boop, boop, boop. From the trucking scale, Florence Randall, 72, was sentenced for mail fraud and her part of the scheme. Randall, who, from what I get from this, is pretty much the ringleader, recruited and directed people to take part in staged accidents between May and June of 2017. The people or the passengers in the cars would stage accidents or purposely hit tractor trailers, and then they would file lawsuits claiming that the carriers were the ones at fault. She was sentenced to 2 years probation and has to pay $63,000 in restitution. That's absolutely nuts, man. 63 grand. Most people aren't held liable for that amount of money when it comes to these things. It's very, very, very small amounts. The other people were involved in this. Of course, it took a whole bunch of folks to make this happen. The others involved they pled guilty last month. On January 10th, Dimitri Frazier of West Wago, Louisiana, Adante Turner, 25, in New Orleans, Tiffany Turner, 52, in New Orleans, all pled guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud in their roles in the case. These 3 guilty pleas, they say, brings the total in the case to 5 people, and they dubbed this Operation Sideswipe. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It brings the total people involved in the case, which they dubbed Operation Sideswipe, to 47. Sorry, I made notes. My notes are all freaking messed up. You got to forgive me. All right. Second thing in this article here is a trucking group from Salt Lake City. The Salt Lake City Trucking Group, how ironic is that? The 2 owners were found guilty of, again, conspiracy to commit wire fraud. This one stemming from, man, dude, those beeps. I'm so sorry about that. I forgot to mute my Slack. All right. This wire fraud scheme stems from $3,000 in bribes that resulted in $108 million in contracts over a 10-year period from FedEx. What these guys doing, these 2 owners, were is they were obviously paying out bribes to folks in positions of authority in FedEx that could help them get contracts. As you know, a majority of FedEx and UPS drivers as well, most of them are contract drivers, especially if they're owner-operator or out there operating big trucks. In addition to the $108 million in contracts that these guys got, they personally profited $11 million between the 2 of them. So that's pretty substantial amount of money. Now, these guys have only been found guilty so far, and the sentencing is set to take place on May 20th. Really want to see what they're going to get. Hopefully, it is going to be a little more than probation. Maybe some time in a white-collar facility or something will teach them their lesson. Third one is update on the Ohio CDL tester that was submitting false tests to ODOT, or the Ohio Department of Transportation. The former CDL tester, he was sentenced to 2 years probation on 1 count of conspiracy to commit mail fraud. Between February 2018 and February 2020, Sean Martin submitted fabricated CDL tests to ODOT. These submitted tests were for those that either A, didn't even take a test at all, or B, had failed the test. Mr. Martin took the payments from these parties to alter the test to them passing. In conclusion with that, they did the pass test. Ohio sent out a ton of falsified CDLs to drivers that obviously didn't need to have their license. That is another story. In this story, they say that they're doing that now to try to take those licenses back or get those people back in the facilities for them to take the test to see if they actually pass and they can keep their licenses. So as that happens, and I see any update on that, I will gladly let y'all know. With all that, Mr. Van Brocklin.
Man, I hope those guys went to Vegas with all those millions.
Dude,
I'll put it all on black, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
crazy. I think that's probably the biggest fraud scheme that I've seen as far as like the payout in it. You know what I mean? Like
That was
I've
during
seen some,
COVID too, right? What is it? Over 10 years or something like that? They
yeah,
made so
yeah,
much
over,
money? Yeah, I
yeah,
saw that
over.
article.
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like little when you put it over the course of the time, but I mean, you're talking, 10.8 million dollars or 10.2 million dollars, whatever it is, a year that they were, bringing in off of these bribes and the contracts that they fraudulently got from
Crazy.
FedEx, man.
Yeah, I read it. They were like kind of like double brokering stuff too, because they were saying that they had all these trucks, and then
Yes.
they didn't have all these trucks, and they sent them all. And I was like, man, they were definitely doing it. They were doing
Yep.
it.
You're right, man. Exactly what you said was also part of it. Which I was going to look up the company to see how many trucks they actually had. It was something I was going to do, but I forgot to do it. But coincidentally, the names of the people, the last names are names that, like, at least with my company, are flashing red signs. You know what I mean? It's those names
from Utah. There were people of morals, right?
no. They're
A lot of
again,
Mormons in Utah. You think
no,
that?
man. Maybe. I mean, the last names were Eastern European all the way, and
Yeah,
one of the guys had like two different homes or residences. Like he had one in Salt Lake City, and then he had another address in California. So yeah, probably that one in California was probably bought from his part of that $11 million they put in their pocket, man. You know what I
They had
mean?
two first names, right?
Yeah. No, not two first names, man. Just do the Eastern European names. I have to pull the thing back up, but the ones that end in YAN and ING and all that stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, but I love that you said the two first names, because I say that all the time. Like, I'm like, why?
Not John Rogers. It's John Roger.
Yes.
Come on, man.
or Mike, or is it Mike Chris?
Yeah.
It's always it is. I'm like, dude, why do people think that all Americans have two first names for their name? Like, I don't understand that. I don't know where that. You know what it is? They watch too many 1950s and 60s movies where all the actors, all the male actors have, like, you know what I mean?
It's
First
funny.
two names.
So my grandmother and my mom are both redheads, and I have some cousins that are redheads too. So we always say gingers have no souls, right? So I have a son who's a ginger as well, and we also said people with two first names have no souls. It's just a joke, It's not.
Does your what? But yeah. Obviously, your son doesn't have two first names. So
no, he's got a Van Brocklin at the end there.
Yeah. So. Well, yeah. You never know, man. Hey, parents out here today named their kids crazy things, dude. I would not put it past some parent changing their child's last name from the parent's last name just for it to sound right. I'm serious. Like, folks are nutty out there, man.
Yeah. We have a daughter. My daughter's name is Kennedy, so my brother calls her the president.
She probably is. Is she the only girl?
No, I got two boys and two girls. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the boys are the oldest, and then so we went two boys, and then we had two girls. So we're 2 for 2.
Sweetness. All right, before we get to Mr. Ryan here, Sage, good to see you in the crowd as always. I was told brokers have no soul. Dude, hey, we need to make a shirt
that weren't truck drivers before.
We need to make something that says that 100 says soulless broker. I love that. That's gonna be good. All right. Now it is time to give our guest the center stage. He's going to tell you again whatever he wants to tell you. We don't know. We asked Ryan what he want to talk about, and he said, just bring me on the show and you won't be disappointed. But before you get to talk, Ryan,
to live up to.
Before you get to talk,
nice.
boom, dude.
Asphalt racing, man. I'm more in the dirt.
Oh, dude, I hope that was cool, man. That's why I asked you yesterday. Hey, man, what are you into? And so
that's
did the
cool.
Football with the flyer, and then the cars with the intro video, man.
Yeah, man. I like racing too. Racing's cool. you know, I'm definitely more into the dirt. I own some dirt cars actually, and that was a lot of fun. You know, spent a lot of nights at the dirt track. You know, it was nice during COVID going to the dirt track though, because you know you had to wear the mask. So now all the dirt's not slinging in your face, and you're not inhaling all that stuff. You know, because after you leave the dirt track, you're just
Oh,
you're
covered.
blowing mud for days out your nose. And you know, I used to do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights at the dirt track, and my kids were nice. Yeah, the dirt racing school. But definitely a car fan, definitely a sports fan. So that was cool. I like that. Thank you.
You're very welcome, brother. You are very welcome. And before we get on, I wish we still had our dirt track. We had one here for decades, man. And the family sold it out for them to build a fucking Walmart. Like we
Jeez.
needed more of them stupid things. All right, Ryan, the floor is yours. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Anything? Actually, hey, before you do that, you told me you had a story about Hunter and I that you
Oh,
wanted.
jeez. You guys kind of ruined it the past two shows you did because you got asked how did you guys meet. So you know, I have this story about how Hunter and Rob met, and Rob had this great idea that he was going to do this podcast, and he was using the little broker's room, and he had the Men's Inc. magazine there, and going through, and he saw Hunter was the centerfold, so he reached out to Hunter's agency and was like, "Man, I need some eye candy on my podcast." So he hired Hunter to you know, get this podcast going and draw the fans in.
That is a true story. That is a true story.
Much better than training quarter horses.
And nobody knows the true story, man. I mean, it all falls into progression. Every bit of it.
Bro, that's cool.
But by the end of it, man, in like 3 years, the story is going to be, Hunter's an alien from outer space, and he came and found Robert. They took him up there and did some probing and testing and brainwashed him, and you know, like it's going to be some crazy stuff.
Now they're brothers.
Show the fold, baby.
That's awesome.
All right. Okay, Ryan, the floor is yours, brother. Tell us about yourself and whatever else you want. Drive the conversation, and we're going to keep it going.
Oh man, so I was you know, I was a kid growing up, and everybody said, "Hey, you got to go to college, got to go to college, got to go to college." So I said, my family owned a construction company, so I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go to college, and I'm gonna study engineering to take this construction company to the next level." So I went to school, and I graduated with a degree in engineering and business management with a minor in supply chain and logistics. My grandfather passed away while I was in college. He got the pancreas and liver cancer, 59 years old. So I was 18. My brother is 4 years older than me, so he was 22 at the time. Him and my cousin, both 22 years old. They inherited my grandfather's business. So they had no idea what to do. You know, they're 22 years old. What do you know about business when you're 22 years old? You know, you're just full of piss and vinegar, and you know, just having a good time and loving life. So I graduated 5 years later, 23 years old. Bunch of job offers on the table. I went to a school where 99.9% of the kids had jobs before graduating. I was the 0.1% that didn't, because I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. So my brother and my cousin came to me and they said, "Hey, you know, we're looking to, you know, scale this thing, and we want to take it to the next level. Can you come on board and, you know, give us a hand?" So grew that to 52 employees, $5.2 million in residential construction up here in upstate New York. I left there. And I said, you know, what am I going to do now? I've been out of school now for so long. I can't go back and take a professional engineer's exam because I don't know anything anymore. You know, I haven't been doing it. So I minored in supply chain and logistics. So I said, I don't really have any contacts in that industry either. Let's go back and check that out. So I went and I got my Class A license. I went to school. I went to CDL school. I took, when you take your permit, you can apply for all the endorsements that you want. So at the time, I went for every endorsement. I went for, my Class A. I went for, so you have your air brakes, your general knowledge, and your, what's the other one? Combination.
Tanker, doubles,
The
triples.
three that you just have to take to get your Class A. So it's combination, air brakes, and general knowledge. So I took those, and then you can take all your endorsements as well. So I took tanker, I took doubles, triples, I took metal coils, I took hazmat, I took towing. I couldn't take school bus because you have to do your road test in a school bus to get the school bus endorsement, and with that you also can get your passenger endorsement. So no, I had my passenger endorsement. So I didn't have school bus. So I went back and actually got my school bus now. So the only one that I didn't pass when I took all of them at once for the first time was the metal coil one. And that's the only one I still don't have, just because I haven't done it. So, so when I graduated, I wanted to be a truck driver, so I went over the road. I leased, I went on as a company driver first with one of these big carriers. They paid me 32 cents a mile. Yeah, right. So I was like, hey man, this 32 cents a mile ain't gonna work. I think I got to do this lease purchase program where I'm gonna make some more money. So I looked into the lease purchase program, and I started running as an owner operator, quote lease purchase driver, quote the purchase part. It's with any of these mega carriers. And if there's any drivers watching, please do not sign a lease purchase agreement with any mega carrier. If you're not signing the agreement with the actual carrier, you're not buying that truck, because they have shell companies that they use to funnel these trucks into their carrier authority. So do not lease purchase a truck through any mega carrier, please. You will do what I ended up doing, and you can put yourself in a bad situation. So I was down in Ellery, South Carolina, in my truck, my lease purchase truck, and my dispatcher says, hey, we can't dispatch you on a load. I'm like, why? They're like, there's some problems with your paperwork or whatever. I didn't sign the agreement. I didn't sign the agreement right away. I got in the truck, I left the terminal, and I was running. It was like for 2 weeks. And they're like, hey, you didn't sign this agreement. And I was like, I'm not signing that agreement. I don't agree to the terms. You guys need to edit it, and they're like, well, we're not dispatching you. And I'm like, well, I'm in Ellery, South Carolina. I live in upstate New York. I said, you got me, more than an hour's, more than a drive clock's time from my home. I said, this is crazy. So what am I going to do? So I was in a rock and a hard place. And with the next thing that I did, I'm not going to talk about because it's really not a good thing to do. But ended up not working for that company anymore. I worked for a small carrier up here in upstate New York. When I met that guy, he was doing shuttle runs out of a Target distribution center to an offsite lot, just moving empty trailers. Grew his company from his one truck that he was doing with that to over 5 trucks within 3 months. Primarily, dry van freight. My daughter was having a birthday, and I said, hey, it landed on a Thursday. And when I started working with this guy, we agreed on a salary. I was going to get paid every week. I didn't want to do the mileage stuff. But I was also recruiting drivers. dispatching myself, dispatching other drivers, really running the business from him in my truck while I'm driving and delivering freight as well. So we, man, this is a long story. I'm so sorry. But so I grew that company. I came home for my daughter's birthday, landed on a Thursday. Paycheck came in on Friday, was 2 days short. He didn't pay me for Thursday or Friday. And I had said to him, I said, hey, a month in advance, because I knew my daughter's birthday was coming up. I said, hey, I'm going to be going home for St. Patrick's Day, which is my daughter's birthday, March 17th. I'm going to go home Thursday on the day of her birthday, and we're having her party on Saturday, and I'll be back in the truck on Monday. I'm going to stay out the weekend or 2 weekends before that so that you're still making money, because, everybody knows that when that truck's not rolling, that truck don't make no money. So, I tried to keep the truck rolling as much as I could. Maybe I did some bad things and ran in PC for a little bit longer than I should have, but, it happens. So he didn't want to pay me for those 2 days. So I said, you know what? If I can't take 2 days off after I built your company up and done a great job, made you a ton of money. 1 week we were team driving. A truck grossed $18,000. $18,000 in 1 week team driving. It was crazy. And during that team driving, stopped home for my uncle's funeral for 2 hours. So we would have even made more money if I didn't have to reroute to come back to upstate New York to go to my uncle's funeral. But yeah, so I left there, and I bought my own truck. I said, "Fuck this! I'm doing my own thing. If anybody's gonna make it happen and do it, I'm gonna do it myself." So I bought a truck. I was running power only. Man, anybody who's running power only, please do not do it. It's the worst. There's so many deadhead miles. You have no idea what you're ever hauling. Sometimes I was hauling equipment. Sometimes it was a dry van. Sometimes it was a reefer. It's just a loadout trailer, wherever it is. Bring it, and then you need to bring it back to us. And we're not paying you to bring it back either. You got to bring it back for free. And good luck trying to find a backhaul, because no freight comes in here. It only comes out. So yeah, deliver about 450 miles down the road, and then bring that trailer back here, or we're charging you $250 a day for not bringing it back. And it's great. So so from there, I was like, man, these deadhead miles are really killing me. So I said, I got to find a trailer. So I bought a reefer trailer and started doing reefer. And man, that was a lot of fun. Fourth baby is on the way. I was in Perry, Florida. I was getting a washout from hauling bulk potatoes down to a potato chip plant. And the guy says, "Oh, you got your fourth kid coming?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You better buy a color TV. It's much cheaper." He said, "You got a color TV in your bedroom?" He said, "You got a color TV in your bedroom?" I said, "No, sir, I don't." He goes, "Buy a color TV. It's much cheaper." I said, "Oh, great." So we now have a color TV. We now have 4 kids. When the 4th kid came, my wife said, "Come off the road." So because I had that towing endorsement, I was like, you know what? I'll go be a moonlighter. I'll tow some trucks. So I started towing trucks, moving equipment on the landall, um, putting trucks up on the landall. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what landall is. It's like it's a tilt deck with a winch on it, bunch of chains and stuff. So pretty much a flatbed that you can drive up onto without ramps. It's a full ramp. So I was doing that. Tow truck drivers are predators. I said, you know what? I'm done doing this. I don't want to rob these guys, charging them $1,500 an hour for a rotator. I went and got my rigging license to run the rotator. Did a lot of stuff, man, and then very diverse in the logistics. So I left the tow company. I hired a driver for my truck. Was dispatching him. I mowed the lawn 7 times in one day, and I said, I need to do something else. I said, I need to do something with my time. I have too much time on my hand. I can't mow the lawn for the 8th time. So I said, let me, jump into this freight agent thing. And, it's tough to get into when you have no book of business, right? So everybody's like, oh, what's your book of business? What's your book of business? I said, listen, I don't have a book of business. I used to be a truck driver. I have a lot of contacts at different places. I've made a lot of friends in the area because every time I come home, I'm talking to the shipping manager. I'm talking to the receiving manager. I know who's in my backyard. But they know who I am because I used to come home on the weekends, and every time I'd haul out of, couple places. There's only so many places outside of Albany, New York that ship freight. It's not like we're in, Dallas, Texas, where there's millions of people. We don't have a lot of people. The one thing we have in Albany, New York is politicians, so it's great. So yeah, I had 4. I don't have 5 kids because I didn't have enough time. So I said, yeah, let's be a freight broker, and here we are. That's the whole.
All right, man. So
Jesus
go ahead. I'm sorry, Ron.
I said, man, that was a long story, but that's it. Probably lost all the viewers.
My very first question, man. Going from the side of the industry that you're on, as far as being a driver and a tow operator, all of that stuff, it's quite a jump to come over to the other side, man, whether it be a broker or even working at a ship or being a transportation manager. So out of all the things that you could have done, you know what I mean, as far as possibly being a local driver or a regional driver, or getting a job as an ops manager somewhere, whatever it was, like what was it about being a broker that like you interested you, that said, man, this is the direction that I want to go? Was it a lack of options or what?
No, I mean, I could have got a job anywhere, right? I'm a Class A driver. Class A drivers can get a job anywhere. Like, let's be honest. Everybody's always hiring Class A drivers. I still have complete resume. I'm not waiting for anyone to save you. Yeah, absolutely. It's my wife is in school. My wife's a nurse, so she's in school to be a nurse practitioner. Anybody who doesn't know what a nurse practitioner is, like the equivalent of a doctor, but no surgery in the state of New York. So she can have her own private practice, all that stuff. So she's been in school for that, and so her time is occupied. She's a very busy girl. I wish I could be half the human being that she is. I don't know how she does it. I'm just trying to keep up with her. But she's really a superwoman. But I needed flexibility, right? Most local drivers are working a 14-hour shift. They're running that whole, 14-hour duty clock. So I couldn't do that, right? And with having 4 kids, I wanted to spend time with my kids. The time that I lost while being over the road was hurting me, right? So when you're over the road and you can't see your kids, go to bed every night, kiss them goodnight, it wears on you. So I was just on another podcast and we talked about, driver mental health and faith, right? And he said, Ryan, do you feel like it's okay for a driver to take a break and take a day off? And I said, absolutely. And I told him, I said, I used to stop at Sadler's truck stop right on I-95 and in Emporia, Virginia, right before you cross over to North Carolina state line. The Sadler family was in NASCAR, and my grandfather was a big NASCAR fan. So I was talking to the 2 Sadler brothers there, and they had a hotel right across the street, like a Days Inn, some cheap $49 a night hotel, but wasn't very fancy, wasn't nice, but sometimes you just need to get out the truck and take a break, and that's what I did. I'd grab a hotel room, that way I can lay out and hang out. But definitely the freight broker thing was more the flexibility than going to like a local job or anything like that.
So how do you feel that all the stuff that you did in your past before a freight broker, like, how do you feel that prepared you, or did you feel that it had prepared you to be a freight broker?
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, if you're in a truck and a lot of people say that truck drivers are introverts, right? But it's not that truck drivers are introverts. It's that people look down on truck drivers so much. And you could go and walk up to any truck driver, and I guarantee you they're going to tell you a story that you'll never hear before, a story that you'll never forget and a story that you never heard. They'll love to talk to you. I was just pulling doors the other day, as a broker, and I went in and I said, hey, looking to see if I can help you guys move some freight. And they're like, hey, man, we're all customer routed. I said, perfect. That's fine. Who are your customers? Come on, man. We can't tell you that. And I said, hey, I got to shoot my shot, bro. You passed me the ball. I got to shoot. Right. So I went out to the truck. I went out to the docks. I said, hey, who'd you book this load through? Who's the broker? Where's it going? Truck drivers are talking, man. They'll talk. I talked to 6 drivers and was there for 2.5 hours. I look at my watch. I'm like, man, I got to go. But the information that they gave me, priceless. I couldn't, the 2.5 hours that I spent there will more than 1,000x times make me money.
All right. So how do you think that, how to say it? I'm going to reword this. How is all of that, or what made you think you'd be a good freight broker? Let's do that. What made you think that, man, all this engineering shit that I've done, all this driving stuff that I've done, like what made you think that all of that would make you a good broker and make you successful as such?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a good talker. I'm a smart kid. I can, I'm big on building relationships. It all translates, right? You're already in the logistics space. The lanes that these shippers are running because you've ran them, right? I have a stack of bills of lading that are all my customers. I hauled their freight already. So do you know my first, I mean, I don't want to give all the sauce, but any truck driver that wants to be a freight agent, call me. I'll give you the sauce because you have all the tools that you need before you even sign a document that you're a freight agent. You already have them. They're sitting in your truck and they're money.
That's honestly, that's very true, man. About I mean, it is. I have some driver friends of mine that I asked them, hey man, why don't you send me a couple of those BOLs or those rate cons and stuff that you got. Me personally, I prefer BOLs because rate cons don't necessarily mean that anyone on the pickup or the receiver is the actual customer or the shipper. You know what I mean? So I prefer BOLs, but you're right. That is a very good tool.
I mean, the rate con's got great information on it too, because it's telling you the rate on that lane. So what that is. But,
dude, I mean, you're right, but I mean, the rate from 2020 doesn't mean shit today. You know what I'm saying?
So Claudia says, do you call that back solicitation, right? So as a company driver, any bill of lading that I had as a company driver, I don't have a contract to not back solicit them. The carrier has a contract. I don't. I'm a driver. I don't owe anybody any type of, I don't owe anything. And if that was, what's the statute of limitations on back solicitation? It's 2 years. I have a bill of lading right here, marked 2020. We're in 2024.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is most back solicitation clauses in agreements, whether it be for carrier, broker, whatever they are, they have a time limit. It's 1 year, 2 years, whatever it is and stuff. So yeah.
We're past that statute of limitations, and then most of the freight I was hauling during COVID, those brokers probably aren't even around anymore.
That's
that agent, that carrier rep, that brokerage itself probably ain't even around anymore. To be honest with you.
All right. So what was your biggest hurdle, man, in in trying to become a broker besides the book of business thing? You know, I mean, was it the lack of experience or
No, the biggest hurdle, learning all the software that's involved. I mean, I already had a TMS as a carrier, but everybody has a different TMS. How you build a load as a broker,
dude, come on, man.
that stuff. I'm already familiar with sending driver tracking. I already accepted tracking. I have Macro Point on my phone as a driver still. There's a bunch of there's a bunch of things that cross over, right? From being a carrier to being a broker, from being a driver to being a broker, from being an owner operator to being a broker. Any of those, there's a lot of stuff that crosses over. And to say that I don't have experience in logistics is, very untrue.
I will. So I want to, man, please do not take this the wrong way.
Bear, baby. Poke the bear.
I'm not, please don't take this the wrong way. As a carrier, what your experience majority is, and this is not carriers as a whole, but is in transportation. Logistics is the industry bigly. A lot of carriers don't understand anything outside of that truck. You can tell me you're wrong. I'm telling you.
Oh no, absolutely. The majority, right? The majority of them don't.
Yeah.
But you're also talking about the largest single workforce in the United States.
Oh yeah.
There's more people with the title of commercial driver than there is any other profession in the United States.
No, yeah, I'm not down, man. All I was saying is that there are a lot of carriers who do this. They're like, oh man, hey, I'm going to become a broker because I can get loads and stuff like that. And a lot of that stuff, it does transfer over, but some of it doesn't. And that's why I asked, hey, what were some of your biggest hurdles?
And that's something that I could have did too, right? I could have went and got my own broker authority, because let's be completely honest, it costs about $1,500.
Yeah.
All in. That's with software, everything. Your bond, your general liability insurance, everything, $1,500. The lowest startup industry in the country. The lowest. And there's no cap to how much money you can make. No cap. $9 trillion industry. You can have it all if you really want it. It's not going to happen. You're not, one person's never going to move that much freight, right? We were just talking about that backstage, right? $9 trillion is a lot of money. That's 9,000 billion, right? 9,000 billion, 9 trillion.
That's nothing. That's nothing.
That's huge.
To Billy Gates and old Elon, man, like that's pocket change, man.
Yeah, those are billionaires, though. They're not even trillionaires. Those are only billionaires. So they still need 999 more billion to get to a trillion.
I'm joking, man. I'm just joking.
That's a lot of coin, man. Like
it is, man. I don't
think people know how many square foot are square cubic feet it would take to put $9 trillion.
Hey, as soon as you get a hold of it, you give me a call and buddy, we'll figure it out. I'm not saying at the end that 9 trillion may not be 809. I'm not saying a couple bills ain't gonna fall off the top.
Yeah. But, Rob, your pants are falling down. Oh, don't worry, they're not full, buddy.
Don't mind this fleet of dump trucks backing up here. That's nothing. That's nothing.
Yeah.
All right, here's something that I would like to ask you, and not that I can't answer these or Hunter can't, man, but like we have yet to have like a newer broker in stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think it's good for someone like you who is getting out there right now and really getting their jump start. It's kind of fresh in the industry, not so much, but on this side, but you are. So
100%.
Have there been things that since you've switched over to being a broker, that some misconceptions that you may have had as a driver, that you're like, oh, hey, now that I'm over on this side, I can see that those things are complete fallacies or, they're false. How has being a broker expanded your mind and changed your outlook on stuff?
Oh, 100%. There's definitely, there's a lot of misconceptions with brokers. Everybody thinks you're making $1 million on a load, say, I mean, I'm not going to throw lanes and rates out there, but, for the sake of just making even numbers, let's say that lane that's $1,000 lane, right? And everybody thinks, oh, the shipper's paying $2,000. Like, oh, as a broker, I'm making $1,000 on this load, and I'm only paying the truck $1,000. But that doesn't happen. I mean, it's way too competitive out here for that to happen. I mean, if maybe a one-off situation where somebody really needs, a load moved, and you just so happen to find a truck that, I hate the word backhaul, but um, it's definitely something in the industry. But you find somebody who needs a backhaul, right? Trying to get home for the weekend to see their kids or something, and you can take advantage of it and make a shit ton of money as a broker. But they're very one-off situations. I mean, you can drive a G-Wagon as a truck driver too. It's not only brokers that can afford G-Wagons; truck drivers can afford them too. And it's just, I mean, it's a different lifestyle, right? It's a different lifestyle as a broker than it is as a truck driver. So,
But is there anything else, man? Like, because everybody talks about the rates. I mean, as far as the misconception, I mean, and I'm carriers. It don't matter. Every broker in the country can tell them it's false, but they
yeah,
won't believe that. And
I mean, I think carriers should definitely invest in your sponsor, right? Lane Runner, some type of software that tells you what the lane rates are, because if you don't know what that lane rate is, the broker didn't just make up the price. Okay, it's not like we say, "Hey, here's the cup. I'm gonna pull out a number, and that's what I'm gonna charge your customer." No, it's not how it works. We look at lane rates just like everybody else does. So as a truck driver, if you look at that lane rate and that's the rate, that's what the broker most likely went to the customer with. Now, I use some tools where it'll allow carriers to bid on lanes before a customer says, "Hey, I got this lane I'm going to run," and you can make an agreement with your customer, like, "Hey, man, I'll run all your freight, and I'm going to put this margin on top of it, and this is what we're going to run it for, and I'll show you, be completely transparent with you, and show you that I'm only collecting this percent of margin, and I'm paying the driver this." You can go to customers and say that if they're worried about you making too much money and not being fair to the carriers. That's fine.
all right. So
But most brokers are getting their rates off a DAT lane rate. And if you pay for that subscription of DAT where you can see the lane rate, you know what the rate is going to charge. And I did that with CH Robinson. I told my carrier sales rep, I said, "Hey, listen, I'm like, you have this." The way that the big brokers get away with it is they post their stuff to their own board, right? And they'll post it for a low price, and then you got to start putting offers in on it and stuff like that. And then they'll take the lowest man. But their freight is all contract freight, so they have to load, 6 months ago, right? But when you're on the DAT and you're running spot freight as a carrier, you're gonna get bad rates. I mean, that's the nature of the beast when you're dealing with spot rate. If you look at the lane rate on DAT, it says spot rate, contract rate. Right now, contract rate is higher because spot rates suck. So, I mean, if you had a contract with a shipper as a carrier, because us brokers could be gone in a heartbeat if shippers just stuck together and worked together.
Man, I just want to say, don't even pay attention to that fucking contract stuff. That is bullshit. Yeah. I don't know one shipper, if I come to them with a spot market rate that is going to be lower, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, since you're doing a 6-month contract rate, here's my contract rate in comparison," they're going to fucking block me, dude. Yeah. So I don't even know why DAT does that crap. I really don't. I don't even know where they get that data from. Well, but who knows? But I just want to say, like, I have carriers that say that to me, like, "Rob, I know this is contract, blah, blah." All right, man, let me put this into perspective for you. You have a Lamborghini that costs $200,000. And then someone comes with the exact same Lamborghini, but it's just got a new paint job and it's got a good sound system. And they tell you $500,000 for that. Which Lamborghini are you going to buy? The $200,000 one. So I don't like that contract thing. I never use it. I just want to say that. I agree with you. I wish that we could go on it because it is always higher. And I think if the contract rates on
it's lower too. It's lower.
It is. You're right.
It's
it can
lower.
be lower. You are.
During COVID, right. The contract lane was low. The spot rate was high. Contract lanes were low. If you looked at the contract lane during COVID, I ran the COVID vaccine from up here in Mass. We're team driving up here in Mass to Olive Branch, Mississippi, just over the border, Memphis, Tennessee.
Olive Branch, Mississippi.
Olive Branch, Mississippi, right? So we ran the COVID vaccine down there, dropped it off to McKesson, and got paid a shit ton of money. I wrote my own check that week.
I bet.
You know, I'm not even going to tell you how much the lady paid, but it was ridiculous. You know, and
what was the lane pay?
I'll have to look up the BOL. I got it over here. It's right. I mean, I'm not kidding.
It's about 5 figures.
I got a stack of BOLs right here on my desk that I was calling today.
Carriers take notes.
It's you know, you can make a lot of money, but just like, you know, as a carrier, you got to ride the waves, just like a broker. You know, there's and it's really in every industry. You know, when I was in construction and running the family business, there was waves. You know, we had good years, we had bad years. It's the smart ones that, you know, that keep moving, right? The people who came into the industry and bought $100,000 truck for $250,000. Well, that was kind of stupid, you know. And you know, that truck now was repoed, and the truck prices are way down. So it's crazy. It's really you got to ride the waves, man. When times are good, I think who said it? George Young from the movie Blow, right? When you're flush, when you're up, you're flush, and when you're down, you'll never be back up again, or something like that along those lines, right? And you got to learn how to ride the waves. You got to be able to save money. You can't be, you know, hood rich when you get that tax check. You can't be doing that. You know, you can't do that. So during COVID, I paid off my truck. I owe $0 on my truck and my trailer, because I made the money, right? So I wish I paid off our mortgage, but didn't do that. Paid off our own personal vehicle loans during that time. So, you know, we were able to save some money. You know, when you're grossing, you know, $18,000 in a week, it's easy to pay off bills, you know. And your expenses on that 18,000, you know, we're team driving. So I had a co-driver with me. It was my brother-in-law. You know, we were splitting it right down the middle after expenses, and he paid off a lot of debt that he had too. And you know, he's doing good. He works for the state DOT now, drives a plow truck. He's not over the road anymore either. So
Hell yeah.
So how has the majority of the experience that you have being on the other side from the broker, you know, how has that helped you dealing with carriers? I mean, has that seeing the other side, has it made you more understanding to carriers? And does it make it easier to deal with them? Or have you said, hey man, like I could see where this is a difficult situation, and as a broker now you're like, these people are crybabies, you know, whatever. How has it helped your relationship in dealing with carriers?
Oh man, my relationship with carriers is great. I mean, I haven't had one argument with a carrier. I tell them straight up, like, hey bud, you know, look at the board, see what the lane's paying. You saw the load on the board and you're calling me from the board. If it's on the board, most of my stuff doesn't even hit the board because I call carriers themselves. I have, you know, you guys know the system, right? So you were on their show last night. E-carrier check. Wherever my load is coming from, I could search within a 50-mile radius of the zip code that my load is coming from, and it'll tell me every carrier from that area. What's the first thing I do? look them up. Look at their CSA scores, pull up. And this is all in eCarrier Check. It'll tell me if there's other companies that match their profile, right? If they have a broker authority, if they have, 4 other authorities, if they're, and this is all DOT numbers, all, MC numbers. So sometimes you'll see in there that, this is, Stars Pool Express, whatever, and they're a pool company. They're not running freight. They're not an interstate carrier or an intrastate carrier. They just have a DOT number for their own trucks, right? And they, eCarrier Check, it costs me $120 a month for the system, and it's paid for itself tenfold, in a week. It's amazing that the system that Nate and Jared and their team over there is building. And the crazier thing about it is it's all bootstrapped money. They're all doing it with their own money. There's no investors involved in that, which is even more insane.
Yeah, we like Jared and Nate, man. They're super cool people.
Man, I can't say enough good things about them.
Oh, I agree, man. I agree fully. We had a fucking blast on their show yesterday, dude. Like, oh my god, and bro, it was so freaking. It was so awesome, man. It was so awesome. Yeah. Okay, as a newer guy in the brokerage side, man, what are hurdles that you're seeing right now? What are the hard things for you, or what is your advice for new brokers of hard things that are hard to overcome and get past?
Oh man, it's the hardest thing for me, and I'm I could talk forever, man. The hardest thing is picking up the phone for that first call every morning. The hardest thing is picking up that phone. But soon as I pick up that phone, it's the greatest day in the world. I mean, just last week, I had great conversations. And you don't have to, there's so much. I mean, I could give you every single trick in the book that works for me, but I mean, I would rather somebody reach out to me and make that uncomfortable moment of reaching out and asking for advice, because that's really where you need to start, right? Is by reaching out, right? And if you don't make that initial reach out, it's not going to happen. But anybody who reaches out to me, I'll get on a call with them and talk for hours about what works for me and what doesn't. The possibility that we're calling the same people is not, it's not possible.
It is very slim.
I mean, it's 1 in a million, dude. I mean, look at how many people are actually shipping freight. And you could go through any database in the world. Not all of it has every single person who's shipping freight. The best place to start is in your backyard, right? Where people, right? The people who became my customers first are the people that I know, love, and trust. And they know, love, and trust me. 3 of my customers, my kids play football with the other kids.
Oh, that's pretty cool, bro.
Like if you don't do that, like we have a family who owns a dentistry, big dentistry in our area. And guess what? The whole elementary school goes to that dentist because they know, love, and trust this family. They go to their birthday parties, they go to their events. That's where you need to start. If your family and your friends can't be your customers, then you should just find something else to do.
Yeah, I think when it comes to you, Ryan, it's just a lack of options.
Yeah. There's not a lot of people that know, love, and trust me. So I got to do a lot of cold calling to Utah to try to get some FedEx freight.
Oh my god! Hey,
Cash App now, baby.
If you're looking for someone to help you learn how to make $11 million, I mean, I could hook you
Yeah.
up with someone. I could hook you up with someone that could help you learn how to do that, man.
For sure.
Um, what what is what
Sorry.
no,
Let me
you're good, man. What would be your advice, man, to anyone thinking about getting into brokering right now? You know, I mean, there's a lot of people that say it either way. Now's a good time to be in this industry, either on any side, and some people say it's not. And so, what would be your advice for someone wanting to get into this?
I think it's a perfect time to get in. I think it's the perfect time to get in. I think if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna deal these cards to me right now, I'm doubling down. Right now. There's no better time to do it than now. Um, you just have to pull up your big boy pants or pull up your big girl pants and get it done because we don't, I mean, women in logistics is crazy, right? There's so many women in logistics that are crushing it right now and way more than any man, right? They're killing the industry. There's a whole group of them coming out of the University of Arkansas, JB Hunt School of Transportation, that are ready to just kill it. You know, like they're gonna. I mean, women is the future. If you guys don't, you know, if you don't realize it, then you're going to be stuck in the past. And I said it. I've said this, you know, to a couple people on the phone call. Um, you know, if I could build a brokerage of stay at home moms, you know how much money I would make, and how much money they would make, and you know, and crush it, absolutely crush it.
That's right, Claudia. Claudia is one of those women in the
Yeah,
industry. Yeah,
killing it.
she is.
Because the thing with women, right? And I don't want to sound sexist or judgmental or anything because I'm none of those, right? My wife is a pioneer in the medical field. She's killing it. She's doing things that aren't even possible. You know, how are you? My wife is a mother, a wife, a student, a full-time nurse working in an ICU unit. She's worked in trauma cardiac. She's done it everything. She's done sexual assault exams on adults and kids for domestic violence and sexual abuse. She's done primary care, urgent care. She's done it all. She she's killing it. And if I could be half the person of a lot of these women, even my mom, women are just so much stronger than men altogether, like mentally. Men, you know, biologically are stronger than women, but you know, as far as strength, but I mean, mentally, emotionally, women are they're they're killers. They're gonna crush it in anything that they do, and I mean, it's crazy. My wife used to have a Rosie the Riveter sticker on her car, and you know, I I wish I could be half the person that, you know, my mom was a single mom, man, and she raised three kids, worked full time, and there wasn't, you know, one thing that we didn't get for Christmas when we asked for it. You know, there wasn't one time that we went to bed hungry because my mom made it happen. So I applaud every woman in the industry, and I think they'll kill it. So if I could help some stay at home moms be at home and you know, care for their kids, I think that'd be great.
All right. So what aside from if you want to become a broker, you want to work for a woman brokerage that got that. What about things that and I don't before I say this, I don't know if where you work now was like, you know, one of the first few places that you applied to and they just had everything that you wanted to hear and you were like, freaking A, this is great.
No, no.
Or you know, hold on, or if you had some other dealings before that. And so my question is what are some things that you would tell prospective brokers to be on the lookout for when they're trying to get with a company?
Yeah, I mean, so the first company that I worked for as an agent, um, was a great guy. He was a cool dude. He went through some restructuring, changed what he was doing, and it was just really bad timing for us. Um, so I moved over to another brokerage, and it happened quick, right? So I was like, man, are my customers going to come over? I just started shipping freight because I started doing this Labor Day. The day after Labor Day was my first day of of onboarding and learning, getting an email address, walking through the TMS, stuff like that. And when I first started, I was just a salesman, and we had an operations team, and and then the owner of the company switched some stuff up a little bit, and then I was cradle to grave. So covering loads and doing all this stuff, which I've never done before. So the first truckload that I booked, I almost got double brokered, and I posted it on LinkedIn. The guy's, I said, hey, I need your driver's phone number so I can send tracking. I need him to accept tracking. And in the email, oh, he don't have a smartphone. He's old school. Okay, cool. Well, I need to talk to him on the phone at least. What's his number? So I call him. I said, hey, your driver didn't answer. He calls me back. The first red flag when he called me back is my phone says spam risk. I'm like, shit. Well, standard operating procedures for us at our brokerage was we send a blind rate confirmation. Shows city, state of the pickup, city and state of the drop off, and the rate. Sign that and accept tracking before you get the full details of the load. If you don't accept tracking, you're not getting full details of the load. I'm pulling you off the load, and I'll give the load back to the customer before I book it. So I called the customer. I said, hey, listen, I had a truck. Said he was en route to you, but he really wasn't, because this particular customer, I had two loads for, picking up in two different locations, delivering to the same. Both locations were close to each other, like within 25 miles. So the driver goes, oh, I'm heading to your load, in this town. And I was like, well, the load's not even that town. I took a screenshot of the snap. I don't know, of the text. I said, you can go back on LinkedIn and check it out to see exactly what was said. But he's like, oh, I'm on my way to your load. And I'm like, well, the load's not in that town. That's not the one that I sent over to you. It's in a different town. And that's how I knew it was a double broker. So, I got that out of the way quick. I called the customer. I said, hey, listen, I just saved our asses. I said I was about to get double brokered, but the driver wouldn't accept tracking. Said, I got to give the load back to you. If you have somebody else that can cover it, no harm, no foul. I appreciate you. And let's do this again tomorrow. Because I was kind of flustered, it was my first shipment. I was like, I was super upset that I had to give it back to the customer. I'm like, man, my first load and I'm rolling it already. Like, good old typical broker, right? But
well, let me rephrase, Ryan, and give some examples. So when you were getting into this, and what I mean by things that new brokers coming into it need to be on the lookout, is an example, being a sub agent. There are a lot of brokerages out there that when you don't have a book of business, they want you to work under another agent and get a very small percentage of their thing. And they use it as, well, we're training you, and you end up being the one that does the majority of the work. Me personally, I'm against the sub agent thing. I think that is starting someone off like on a, I wouldn't say on a path to failure, but here's the starting line, and you're fucking putting them like all the way back halfway around the track. So like things like that, percentages, the standard percentage for a new broker is a 50-50 split. I have heard of brokerages trying to pull funny stuff and do like 30-70s or 40-60s, with it swinging in the direction of the broker. Lies. Yeah. So, hey, we have all this software. We have people, were there any things that you stumbled upon, before you got to the place you're at that were like, holy shit, like this is not cool. People need to be on the lookout for this. I didn't know that this was a thing. in the industry.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sorry that I went on a rant there and you had to reel me back in.
No,
But,
man, I do it all the time.
yeah, I do it. That's my mo. Yeah, I mean, it all depends on the scope, right? So every agent, every brokerage has a different scope of what you're going to be doing, right? So originally, I got into that story was, originally I signed an agreement that I had an ops team for a smaller percentage, right? Then when I went cradle to grave, I got a larger percentage because now I'm doing more work, right? When I left that company originally, I just wanted to be a salesperson and I was going to work as a sub agent underneath another agent. That sometimes it doesn't work. But Matt just chimed in. He was the first person I reached out to, and I said, "Hey, man, this is the situation I'm in. I need you to. I need some help. I need some guidance." And Matt pointed me in the right direction. And the conversation I had with HD Ships with Ryan Smith over at HD Ships was a great conversation. And he said, I want you on Team HD. I need to figure out how to get you, over here, how we're going to work this and stuff like that. And, I went back to Matt and I said, "Hey, Matt, this was the offer. This is what they're talking about. What do you think?" And Matt's like, "Hey, I really, I like the guy and I want to work with him." And he's like, "Well, this is what we're seeing in the industry." And I'm like, "Hey, Matt, do you have someone else for me to talk to?" And he's like, "Yeah, we do have, I do work with a couple other places and, we can, explore your options." He's like, "But I want you to have another conversation with Ryan with the base, with what you just talked to me about, and we can go from there." So I had another conversation with Ryan and Ryan said, uh, "Perfect. Let's get it done." And here we are, and the sub agent thing is cool. Sub agents usually, I feel I understand where you're coming from. The sub agent thing I think is more like somebody who wants to do it part time, but the whole reason why I wanted to be a sub agent is because that experience with being double brokered, right? With getting that text message and all that stuff. I didn't want to deal with that. I wanted to build relationships with people and have somebody take care of the operations.
But
I didn't want to do the operations. But
So-
every agency has something different. I know that you, Rob, you have an ops team behind you. I know Hunter works for a brokerage that has assets. We have an ops team behind us if we want to use it, but you lose that percentage to the ops team. So yeah, there's Matt. Matt's in the chat. Ryan didn't want to move his own freight. Yeah.
Ryan, don't take this as me like saying you're anyway. Hey, do you know what I mean when I say a sub agent?
So my experience with a sub agent is I'm an agent and I sign you as a sub agent.
Yeah,
And you work under me for
Yeah, I
less
got
of a
you.
percentage than what I'm making.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
making a percentage off of you. So
Okay, cool. All right, I got you.
So I have a girl actually who's on LinkedIn who is looking to be a sub agent. She's a mom, right? She has connections. She's been in the space. She knows how logistics works. She can move freight, but she wants the freedom and flexibility to go to her kids' dance recitals and all that stuff. Well, a sub agent is a perfect job for her because I can do the operations for her. Now, if you're a sub agent and you're doing all your operations, I don't agree with that. I
Well,
think
that's what I mean. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I mean. Now, I don't know. We could argue that back and forth. I mean,
I was not arguing. Great conversation.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is about the having time. I'm a full-time agent. I do whatever the fuck I want. If I want to leave midday and go to the shooting range, I go do it. I mean, I have a phone.
You have an operations team. You have an operations team, so you have somebody who can cover your freight for you. Somebody who's in the grave. who's booking
I
their
know,
own trucks.
I know plenty of cradle to grave agents that are the same way.
Yeah. I mean,
Anyway.
you can set those parameters with your customer and say, "Hey, listen, I work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday.
Oh, that'll never work.
Don't call me. Don't call me." You
That
know,
would never-
that's fine. You can do that if you want to do that. If you want to work 9 to 2, then go ahead.
Yeah.
You're just limiting yourself on how much
And-
on your potential, right?
Yeah, in the instance that you're talking about, man, like the whole part-time type deal, I'm with that. I mean, in that situation, I can see how that could be worked. My
Yeah.
point is the fact of where, here's an example. I had a buddy of mine, Rodney. All right, he got on with the brokerage, didn't have a book of business. He had started to gain a little book of business, or it started to gain some business, but the broker he was with said, "Hey, like you're not doing enough. We need to let you go." He tried finding another agency to pull him on, was having trouble, and some guy said, "Hey, I will hire you as a sub agent, and you can work on my book of business, and you can bring your book of business to the table, and we'll work it together." And it came out that he was doing all the work. Like the other, and the other guy ended up taking some of his customers from him, because as the sub agent, like he had signed a contract, saying, "Hey, all the freight is ran under my MC, blase, blase," and it ended up being a bad deal. There are, as we call them, the 3-letter monsters out there. They do part of that same stuff. And I get it. Some organizations use it as a training tool. Hey, you're new in the industry. I'm going to bring you on sub agent, put you on under someone else, and and you can make a percentage of their book of business. That again, I can see how it works, but in that sense, I feel that again, like you're putting them behind. Everybody needs to learn, but why can't you learn under a good mentor? I did. I taught him a lot. I taught myself a lot of this on my own from trial and error. Not saying that's the way for everybody, but I'll also use this. Is in those situations, I have heard more bad than good, where those sub agents walk away getting screwed. They lose the book of business. They learn how to do stuff, but they don't have time to prospect on their own. And it's kind of like the lease operator situation. You're working for someone else, making them money, and like you're kind of just trapped in this loop. Again, not saying that's all situations. I've just heard the sub agent being a real big thing lately, and I'm like, man, that's like me being a car salesman and then hiring my buddy to be a car salesman under me and saying, "Hey, you do this and do a majority of the work, and I'm going to give you like a 10th of what I make off this deal." I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has their space and their place in the industry, right? And if you want to get in, I think that as a sub agent could be a good opportunity, but you have to set those parameters. Like, what are you doing, right? Are you, what's the goal here? What do you want to do? What do you don't want to do? If you don't have those conversations in the beginning, then it could be really bad, right? And I was almost a sub agent, but we went a different route, and I could hire someone to do my operations, and that's kind of like a sub agent, but they're just doing operations, right? They're not reaching out to customers and stuff like that. I think that's where the sub agent thing comes in, where you're reaching out to customers. Now, who owns those customers, right? Because you can put a solicitation thing in place, but you don't know, if they're soliciting your customers or not, unless your customer tells you. You know what I mean? And is your customer going to tell you if they're saving money? Well, you would hope so. You would hope that, that they would say something, that you built that relationship of honesty and trust, but you never know, And if you really want to hire sub agents to grow your book of business, it's $1,500 to start your brokerage. Go do it. That's it. You want to hire agents underneath you? You want to make some of their money?
Well, I'm cool with the whole like the agent in itself thing. Like I'm cool with that. I know I got a guy that in my Facebook group right now that I respect him, but in a way I don't, because he's one of those people in this industry that like I feel I couldn't do. So now I teach and let other people use my info. And he does, man. He has actually built a more successful brokerage by him stepping away and just hiring agents and letting them use his MC. He brings on people with no book of business, and he and his wife like personally kind of hold their hand for a little bit. Yeah, I'm all about the agent thing, man. You know, I mean, hey, it is the way it is. I mean,
that's the thing with the agent thing, though. As starting out, right, you don't really have that person to help you, right? Like if they're struggling, the only people that you have are people that you network with. Like I called you the other day, like, hey, you know, somebody posted something about LTL reefer, right? So I had a customer in Missouri, had 7.
Did you ever get those moved?
No, absolutely.
I can't believe that, man.
I literally Googled LTL carriers and reached out to them, and they're like, hey, we got rid of our LTL refrigerated, division. We only do LTL frozen. And I'm like, oh, that's great. And then I talked to another LTL reefer guy through LinkedIn. We only do Midwest and North, Wisconsin and the Western 11. We don't go down to Missouri. Oh, shit. So I just told the customer, I'm like, hey, whoever you're using now, just keep using them, because obviously you're moving freight. You're not a new company. None of these companies are new companies, right? Everybody's already moving freight, already working with somebody. So you have to be the differentiator and do something different that they're not doing. And you have to, when they say like, stay in your lane and do what you're doing, that's LTL reefer, never done any of that. I have no idea about anything about LTL reefer. I've done frozen and I've done reefer because my reefer went down to negative 10 degrees. Why do we haul freight at negative 10 degrees? I have no idea, because my freezer in my kitchen doesn't go to negative 10 degrees. I'll tell you that right now. Thing is not at negative 10, but for some reason my reefer trailer will be at negative 10.
I had reefers that went to negative 20.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a new thing though. Like this wasn't like,
no, bro, this was a long time ago. Most don't go to negative 10. I'm just saying, like, I had some that go to negative 20. And
oh yeah, no, I'm talking about like the brokers and the shippers wanting the temperature that low is a new thing. Like to actually be running the reefer at negative 10 is absurd. Like you're just wasting fuel. Yes, they can go to that limit, but you shouldn't be. I mean, you don't need to haul at that. Frozen is 32 degrees. You got 32 to 0. That's 32 degrees. And then you want me to go 10. That's a 42 degrees frozen.
That may be true. 32 degrees may be freezing point, but I don't know. You drove reef for a while. Maybe your experiences are different, but
bro, it gets loaded in frozen. It's not like I'm not the person who's making it freeze. No, it's already below 32 degrees.
I don't know why. They ship that low either. I mean, my freezer in my house is set to 0. That's as low as it goes. So I set mine to 0.
The exact reason why is reefer breakdown. It gives you more time.
That's true.
Gives you more time.
That's a good point.
So
that's good point.
It gives you an extra window if something happens.
Yeah, I did whole stuff like
the fan, right?
like pharmaceutical stuff, man. The vid vaccine. If you follow that,
that wasn't reefer.
Would you just let me finish, please? Anyway, some of the vaccines had to be kept at like ridiculously cold temperatures. Not all of them, but some of them did. I used to, when I worked for FFE, they had a contract with Johnson & Johnson and another pharmaceutical company. We used to pull out of their negative 10 degrees some of the stuff that they used to make us haul. So, but I never thought about what you said about the having more time with the reefer breakdown. That's, in a way, it's common sense, but in a way, like, damn, dude, I've been in this long time. I never thought about that.
That's exactly what it is.
That's a really good
Nobody
point.
will tell you that's what it is, but that's what it
Claudia,
is.
You're right. I used to haul ice cream out of dryers and Bluebell, and theirs was always -10. Before we move on, I know this isn't something we talked about, Andre. I this is a really great question. Never, ever, ever dual authority. And if you're a carrier with a brokerage, you better separate those two entities by miles. Because I'm gonna tell you, if I'm a broker and I finally got a carrier authority, Ryan touched on this earlier, I ain't doing business with you. Nope, no way, no how, not going to do it. Flashing red sign that it's a very good possibility that stuff is going to be double brokered, or you're going to try to back solicit my customers. Here is the advice that I gave a friend of mine when he is a carrier and he wanted to open up a brokerage. Said, Rob, I'm just going to do a dual authority. I'm attached my MC. I'm going to do a DBA for my brokerage. And I said, no, do not do that. A DBA is not enough. I said, hey, the business is in your name for the carrier. You go have your wife open up the brokerage, do everything in her name, make the business name completely different, the address completely different, and do it that way. And it works for him.
I'll give you some insight on that.
Huh?
Okay? I'll give you some insight on that dual authority and brokerage and carrier thing. So as a carrier, it is not okay to have a VoIP phone, and it's not okay to have a remote address. Okay?
Yeah.
As a broker, 100% acceptable.
It isn't. So
100%. That's about a double standard, right?
That is
Where's
true,
our
bro.
trusted lady on verifying real brokers?
Yeah.
You want
She
all this stuff on
that.
real carriers? Carriers can't have a virtual address, can't have a VoIP, but brokers can.
I agree with you. It is a double standard. I can't speak on it. I'm not.
That's from the carrier side, but
no, dude, I'm with you now. We have a VoIP. I mean, even though I use my cell phone, but the reason we have one is because it's cheaper with the 70 something people that work here. My boss just adds extensions and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so that's why we have it. But I agree with you, man. It is a big double standard, man.
Andre, if you live in New York, start your brokerage authority in California. Nobody will ever catch on, bro. Nobody will ever catch on. With virtual addresses and VoIP, start your brokerage over there. Start your carrier authority in New York. You're good to go, bro. Good to go. Because nobody will ever catch that you got a broker authority in Cali when your carrier authority is in New York.
Yeah, and
nothing's going to stop them from, you know what I mean? Like, as a carrier with a virtual address or a VoIP, you're not doing business with them, right? Sometimes. It's a red flag, right? Sometimes. With a virtual address?
No. Oh, I'm honestly not that big of a person on that now. We got that rule over here. I personally don't like it because I've said this many, many times, man. Matter of fact, I said it just the other day when we had Shifra on from Trusted. The exact friend that I was just talking about, dude opened up his business. Like, who wants their business address as their house? If you're a business and you look professional, you want a professional address. I want something in an office building and stuff like that. And it is, man. And it's unfortunate that the address he picked in Houston, it does have a bunch of other people out of it that are known for fraud. And he gets pulled into that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I don't know how to get around that.
And a lot of brokers won't even have that conversation with him. Like, hey, man, I see you're connected to 4 other companies because you're using the same address. You know, what's the deal with that? And I would say, hey, I have a virtual office to try to look professional. You know, if you look up my carrier authority, it's my home address. You go on Google Maps, you'll see my truck out in front of my house. You know, like I'm not hiding nothing. You know what I mean? And it's all public information. But Claudia, I'm sure she does because she's the compliance person. But I mean, if you're an agent and your personal address is going all over DAT, found that out. Yeah. So with brokers, you want to use a personal address, right? A virtual address. But as a trucking company, nope. But the trucking company's address is all over to that. And yeah, so it's definitely a double standard, right?
It is. It
There's
is
a
for
lot
sure.
of fraud brokers out there too. I mean, there's a lot of brokers who have a broker authority and live in India
Mhm.
and are moving freight in the United
I
States.
do not. I mean, honestly, there's really, I don't know of a workaround around that, because our as much as I love our country, UPS and all these virtual offices, they don't give a shit if you live in Antarctica. If you're going to pay them $50 a month, they'll give you a fucking address. They don't care.
I purchased a virtual address and was paying $40 a month so that my
Yeah.
trucking company
So
could have a business address, because apparently for funding and building business credit, you need to. That's why all these companies have virtual addresses, because there's these people for business credit funding who are driving home that you need to have a commercial address.
yeah,
And if you don't have that, you're not building business credit. Well, I wanted to build business credit. I wanted to have more trucks, so I had a virtual address. I paid $40 a month for it. I had a virtual phone number that was routed to my cell phone number. So if you called the number, automatically called forward to my number. So you wouldn't know the difference. The only difference that you would know is that when you search the address for the company, it says, ipostal.com, virtual address, office space available. And I was talking to a couple other companies because my insurance as a carrier in New York State was $2,700 a month. $2,700 a month for insurance only, right? This was trucking liability, general liability, auto, cargo, reefer breakdown, hauling produce and frozen food. It was $250,000 in cargo, right? Sometimes I had to pay additional insurance depending on what I was hauling. I know Matt was in seafood. Seafood is high value, refrigerated, and frozen goods. A truckload of lobsters. What do you think the value on that is?
oh, I know, because I have a seafood customer. I just did a 5-pallet load that was valued at $138,000.
Yeah.
I did a truckload a few weeks ago that the valuation was over $500,000.
Yeah, I have a customer who's a foam customer, and they have this die that needs to go out and get recalibrated. At a company in Wisconsin, and they're here in upstate New York. And the die costs $40,000. It's only 33 inches.
I believe it.
So there's a thing that this is the value add that I added to my customer, and I'll drop some sauce for you if you're dealing with LTL high value freight. There's a thing called shipper's interest insurance, because as an LTL carrier, your cargo is only covered for $100,000. They have two 28-foot pup trailers. You have no idea how much value is actually in that trailer. If the first person who claims value on that, once every item is added up and it reaches 100,000, the insurance company don't pay no more. Shipper's interest insurance covers your item. You pay the cost for the insurance, and you're totally covered because you have insurance on what you are shipping. And that was the value add to my customer. They said, "Hey, this thing's worth $40,000. I need insurance on $40,000." They've been my customer ever since.
I know exactly. Well, I would say I know exactly. Let me rephrase that. I 100% believe you on the value of that ink. I had a buddy of mine that he did ink for a printer company. I believe it was Epson. And if you, anyone that's a consumer, you'll understand this. A printer, cheap as shit. I go buy a printer right now for $50.
Yeah.
That ink though, dude. Like he used to tell me, man, yes, half trailers, man, would be like $250,000, bro, for some magenta.
Bro, my printer I think was like $400 because I got an all-in-one, and it takes four things, and each one is like $97.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
toner things, these big things. I'm like, this is crazy. I've been out of magenta and yellow for about 6 months now.
I will.
I'm
I'll
just
tell
pure
you.
black and white, baby.
Very, very, very off topic thing, but I'll give you a piece of advice. One of the first job I had after college from getting my logistics thing was I was a logistics operations manager at Office Max, and man, I learned a shit ton about printers. I'm gonna tell you. I don't know if it's changed, but dude, the most cost effective way to do printers is to get the Epsons that have the bottles of ink that you refill like bins of ink, and the bottles like they last a very long
It's
time.
like a
And
needle, right? You gotta like
yeah,
inject the cartridge.
yes, yeah, dude. And they're just compartments. Like you don't remove them. You just flip up a lid, and if you need a little bit of black, you just add some black. You need a
Yeah.
little bit of magenta, you add some magenta.
It's
And
like
they were
right?
yes, dude. And they we used to sell the shit out of those things because our printer guy, bro, he would sell like $500 printers like they were 99-cent candy bars because he'd be like, hey, listen, the printer's expensive, but you're going to spend about $15,000 in ink, like some ridiculous number over the course of the life of this printer. Or you can buy this one, and that used to sell the shit out of those Epson printers, man, because of that stuff. How many? Oh, there you go, Ryan. Hey, there's a good one. How many loads have you moved as an agent, Ryan? Do you know?
Oh man, I lost count. I was counting for a while, but I've lost count. So when I came over to HD Ships, it took a while for my customers to really get set up and move over. So I have 2 active loads running right now. So we're moving freight. Like I said, I started in September. My first customer was a customer that I have the 2 loads running for right now, because I coached football with him. His kid goes to school with my kid. The crazy thing is that his son was the center and my son was the right guard. So they became really close because they're playing right next to each other. So I said to his dad, I'm like, Mike, both him and his dad, they're both Mike, but we call the little one Michael. I'm like, Mike, I'm going to bother you all the time about moving your freight because I know that you move freight. And he's like, oh yeah, man, we move freight all the time. And I'm like, so do you really want me to like elbow you every time at practice, or do you want me to just stop by the office tomorrow and we'll get you set up? He's like, yeah, man, come by the office. And that's just how it went, and they do gas turbines. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but the headquarters of GE is in Schenectady, New York. Schenectady, New York, where I live, is the city that lit the world, right? We're the electric city. The light bulb was invented here. The first television broadcast was here. The refrigerator was invented here. The first passenger locomotive was here. We got a lot of history, and it happens in the Northeast. There's all kinds of history in the Northeast. So GE's headquartered here, and GE makes big turbines. So their company sells parts for these turbines, and sometimes they're big and they're heavy and they need rigging and all that stuff. Don't be Googling Schenectady, where the first refrigerator was. I know you're muted, but you're WRGB.
I am, because I'm a huge toilet book knowledge person.
Yeah.
And as you said, oh, it was invented there, I was like, no, I'm pretty sure refrigerators were invented somewhere else.
Oh, right here, bud. The GE before it was GE was called Edison Works. Thomas
I don't know
Edison
what GE was called.
lived here.
Edison is one of the
Thomas
greatest. Edison is one of the greatest thieves of all time. I've got to the point where I really wonder if that dude was honestly a genius or if he was just a great scammer and just stole other people's inventions all the time. I really do. I won't get into that, but
your sister's fiance, you would not be marrying my sister if you're a steel shipper and I'm not your broker. Like, Get out of here, bro. You're not coming into my family. If we can't do business together, you're not coming into my family. Like, how about
Andre,
indirect customers as asset
this
based?
is a good, this is a great question. Actually, does anyone else want to take this first? I love to answer this, but I mean, Hunter, you
I'd
ain't
love
said
to answer it too. I mean, I have so much I can say about it, but I mean,
Yeah.
Hunter,
I mean, with the assets, like,
eye candy's just chilling up there. He hasn't really.
oh, dude, it's been a day. I've just been listening to y'all chat it up, man. Can't get a word in edgewise, but yeah, I mean, with the assets, I don't know. I just go after bigger companies, people that have a high volume of freight across the country, and like you can get set up with them in a couple days. A lot of them have spot freight, and I mean, I think for assets, that's definitely a path to go. Now, smaller mom and pop shops like might be a little bit more difficult to get in, but I mean, shit, it's just like a broker. Call them, say, hey, I have trucks. Can we move some freight for you? A lot easier phone call than a broker.
Absolutely.
We're talking about imaginary trucks. You actually have trucks. So
you got a truck in hand, bro. Like literally.
Ryan, you want to give your tidbit on this one?
Yeah, man. It's the thing. The reason why the brokerage game has become so big is because the cost of entry. I mean, I think that everybody who's a broker wishes that they had their own assets. Honestly, like you could book your own trucks. Now, there's some agents who work for companies that have assets that don't use their assets because it is not cost effective, because the carrier wants to take all the money and show all the money and have less money to the brokerage. Why? Number one reason why: there's way more overhead as a carrier than there is as a brokerage. So your profits are taxed a whole lot higher. There's more write-offs as a carrier than there is as a brokerage. So you can see as a brokerage that there's money hand over fist, right? You can make a ton of money. But as a carrier, you can make a ton of money too, but you need money to make money as a carrier. As a broker, you don't. And that's my whole asset-based carrier deal.
So this again, this is my tidbit. I don't know shit. I really don't. I just give opinions. I do. I just give opinions, and as the saying goes, opinions.
They're all opinions, right? They're all opinions.
Opinions like assholes, man. Everybody's got them, and they all stink.
Some of them stink. Mine doesn't.
They all stink, bro. All right. So, Andre, this honestly, man, this is it's a pretty loaded question, and the reason I say that is there's just like everything in this business, there's a lot of variables in place when it comes to this. Do you have an upper hand if you were asset or if you're a carrier when it comes to prospecting and getting freight? Yes, you do. But how many trucks do you have? What lanes do you run? What is your availability? What are your insurance things? There's a lot of these shippers, when they say they want to deal with assets, they're not talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 truck operations. They're talking about people with double and triple digit trucks. And the reason that is because dealing with 1 or 2 trucks, yeah, they may save money on those 1 or 2 lanes, but that's a very small drop in the bucket to what their ultimate goal is, and is to do that. Now, that's not to say that there are not shippers out there, man, that are smaller that they would love to deal with you. You know what I mean? Versus maybe versus a broker. It helps them have the direct line to the person and the vehicle that is carrying their freight. So yeah, it is a bonus, but it can be hard. And I also want to add this. This is another fallacy in this industry that all shippers want to deal with carriers. No, they don't. They absolutely do not. And I'm going to tell you why. The reason is, and this is not me being a broker, there's a shit ton more value in dealing with a broker than there is dealing with the carrier. And part of that value is the fact that it adds layers. We talked about this. It adds layers that help mitigate and drive down risk for that shipper. Also, say you're a 5 truck operation. Hell, say you're a 50 truck operation, right? And you got all this freight from this shipper, and they roll out 10 new lanes, and you can't cover any of them, and they don't have anyone else to reach out to because you're the only carrier they got. and brokers, a broker could, hey, help them with that. So I'm not saying that brokers have the upper hand. I think it really is a 50-50, and it depends on the customer that you're going with. But my advice is that if you're a smaller carrier, look for smaller shippers if you want to run direct. If you're a larger carrier, hey, go after those bigger contracts and stuff. But yeah, you do have an upper hand. Again, just kind of depends on the situation, man, and whether you do it right, how you go about it. Again, shit ton of variables.
Yeah. I have an enterprise customer right now that I'm trying to close, and he straight up told me, he's like, hey, listen, this is what we're working with, and if you want to help out and you want to join the team, this is my current book of business per se, right? He's like, I'm working with 15 brokers and 6 asset carriers already. If you want to be a part of it, you can, but these are the terms. So, we have to figure that out, right? Is it worth running? We're an expedite based carrier with 130 plus units. Yeah, I mean, you got 130 plus units, man. You should most certainly reach out to shippers that, as a carrier, as an asset based carrier, because I was a carrier myself. This is my game plan for those 130 units. Okay. Where is home for all those units, and find a shipper to work direct with where your trucks are going to be coming out of, that for sure your trucks will be coming out of. If you have 20 of those trucks in Baltimore, and 20 of them in Houston, and 20 of them in, East Bumfuck, then you reach out to shippers in those locations and tell them, hey, my trucks are home this schedule. I'm looking to see if I can help you out on these lanes that run here, because I have another guy here, and you have to build that, right? That's where logistics really becomes fun, is when you're doing stuff like that, right? You're building the connections in the supply chain, and you're point A to point B to C to D to get that driver home on time for a birthday party, to do all this stuff. That's what I loved. That's what I love about logistics, is moving all those moving parts and those equations, right? There's simple logistics, like 2 + 2 is 4. That's a dry van that goes from Houston to Chicago, or Dallas to Chicago. Like, that's the simplest lane that you can run, right? I mean, what other lanes would you say is the easiest lane to cover? Dallas to Chicago, right? And your guys' opinion?
I don't know. I guess.
I mean, we run a shit ton like Laredo up to Chicago, but
yeah, but there's literally trucks that have been stuck in Laredo for weeks.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of trucks in Laredo. I had my driver stuck in Eagle Pass, because we took a loadout trailer that delivered to Eagle Pass. I could not get out of there. I told him, I said, listen, you're deadheading to Dallas. He goes, are you sure? I said, yeah, there's nothing there. There's no loadout trailers there. He ended up deadheading to McAllen, which is a long way, but that was the only place that I could get a loadout trailer. So he went all the way. So, I mean, you guys are in the industry, where, Eagle Pass.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I used to deal with that Eagle Pass shit.
Yeah.
Are you done, Ryan? Because I want to touch base on what Andre asked here too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Andre, I want to come back to this, man. I forgot this. This was going to be my last point that I'm about to say. I also want to say that do not think for 1 minute that because you're the carrier that you're going to get paid more for dealing with that shipper. I know a lot of carriers like to think that. They do. And in some instances, it is very true. You can get a better rate going direct to the shipper. However, a good portion of the time, that's not true. If a shipper deals with a broker, they know that they're paying that broker a premium for their service. So when you as a carrier go to them and say, hey, I can run this freight for you, the first thing in their mind, and the first thing in any business owner's mind, and you as the carrier, don't care what you say, if you put yourself in their shoes, you would do the same exact thing. The first thing that they're going to think is, okay, well, cool. I'm going to save $300 a shipment now because I'm not paying Ryan and Robert as brokers to do this. Again, not always the case. There are carriers that they'll pay more than they'll pay a broker, or they'll pay you the broker fee. And I'm not saying this is an every instance thing. I just want to put that out there. That carriers, sometimes you're going to be better off, to be honest, going with a broker than you are a shipper. But the situation varies. Now, on to this. Again, just my opinion, just my advice, but it comes from an educated place. One of the positions that I had before I got into brokering, I was a logistics operations manager for a company next to the DFW airport. Dealt with a whole bunch of stuff. A 99% of the vehicles that we had were box trucks and sprinter vans. We actually only had 4 tractor trailers, 2 day cabs, and 2 sleepers. Point is, as this guy that I worked for, what he did is he had contracts with the U.S. Postal Service and DHL and UPS for delivering packages final mile. So every single night we would get a shipment in, and they were packages for DHL, UPS, and they were going to post offices to deliver to people's houses. Dude made really, really, really good money. Another thing that he did is he had got local contracts with like parts distributors. This is in DFW where there's some large manufacturers, but he got contracts with like part distributors or truck dealerships thing, and he would transport engines or parts back and forth between places, kind of like when you order something from O'Reilly's, they can bring it to you. Point is dude, there is a ton of stuff out there when it comes to operating non-CMVs, and I don't think that a majority of carriers that operate non-CMVs understand that, like, dude, there is a crazy ton of opportunities, especially if you live in a metropolis area. Amazon, I know people have some stuff about Amazon, but dude, you can get some decent contracts with them and not have to buy Amazon fleet vans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So dude, and the expedited stuff, man. I mean, there again, tons of contracts. There's expedited carriers out there. There's airlines. I had a buddy that had a buddy who he worked for an airline, bro. Like, they would fly the shit in and then they take it right off. He would back his truck almost up to the plane on the tarmac. They would load him with, dude, it could be 3 boxes. He one time told me he did an envelope, a literal envelope, and they paid him this crazy amount of money because it was some type of documents for Gulfstream, the jet builder. But dude, there's a lot of opportunities where you would.
I literally was going to say that. So I have my neighbor across the street from me does this, but with suitcases. So somebody loses their luggage, the airline pays for them to send it home. So like you go, if you want to, you get into the airports. Yeah, that's actually a great idea. Yeah, I mean the airlines would be huge. Yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. Definitely. Looks like the chat is kind of shutting down now. So if there's any
Don't
other
matter.
You want to?
Don't matter. We could go all night with just us talking. Unfortunately, I got to get off here in like 8 minutes.
I mean, I'll stay here with the eye candy.
You do. Hey, you go out ahead, bro. Hey, we have done it before. I have left before because I had to, and Hunter had to take care of it. Lots to chew on. It is, Andre. There again a lot of misconception in this industry about how simple things are. And it's one of the reasons I asked Ryan about how he feels his being a carrier has helped him with the brokerage stuff, because I feel when you can cross train or be cross educated and understand how the circle works as a whole, it helps you be a better carrier, and it helps you be a better broker. Now, there are a ton of business strategies out there, dude. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're every carrier, nobody's business strategy works for someone else. It hardly ever does. You know what I mean? You've always got to tweak and stuff. The best advice, Andre, is dude, just, I wouldn't say play around or toy around, because I don't say that in to mess around time, but man, play around, try to run a couple different things, see how they work. Put a couple of trucks on a contract or somewhere, see how that works. You got to find what works for you. Here's an example. I know a guy in New York. He used to be a box truck driver, did stuff all up and down the East Coast. And one of the deliveries that he made was a furniture delivery that he picked up and he delivered it to the place that the people that bought it. It was a commercial building, commercial furniture. While he was there, he just so happened to strike up a conversation with a guy he did not know was the owner of a multi-million-dollar company that they buy and install commercial furniture in office buildings. They had a great conversation. Now, all that guy does is he picks up furniture for him, takes it to the place it's supposed to go, and he had hired a team of people that come with him, and they install all of it. Just, dude, he was a box truck driver forever. Just luck of the draw. Delivered while they're unloaded, talked to the dude, and boom, now he fell into something completely different. He loves it. He's like, man, I make more money than I ever made as just a regular driver. Yeah, the work's a little bit harder, but I love it and I'm appreciated and I make good money. So that's just an example, man. There's opportunities out there everywhere. You never know where they're going to come from. You just kind of got to, sometimes you just got to kind of throw darts, man, and see where they stick. I know that a lot of people say that's not a good idea, but I mean, it honestly is. As a broker, I do it all the time. Just throw shit, man. See where it hits. You know what I mean?
Something's gonna stick.
Yeah. You may get a bullseye, or you may take out your buddy's eye. You never know.
Hey, Andre, we have an agent here at HD that does a lot of expedited. So if you want to DM me, I'll get you hooked up with him if you're not already set up with HD ships. But we do some expedited stuff. So, yeah, hit me up.
For sure, and for sure. Hunter, yeah. you got anything you wanna say to Ryan or ask Ryan, man, before we start to wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, thanks for coming on the show, man. It's like pretty insane that you've only been a brokerage since September, but like, dude, you are crazy intelligent in this field.
Yeah,
like I've just been over here soaking it up, dude, and yeah, bro, I've been loving it.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot to me, actually. I definitely appreciate that because you've been in it for a while. You worked for the big guys, so you probably got way more knowledge than me.
Yeah, I mean, shit, we all got knowledge in different areas.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is I live and die by this adage, right? When I stop learning, kill me, because there's no, I strive to learn something new every day, right? And no matter what it is, as long as it's something new, right? And I feel like the brain doesn't have a capacity, right? Our brain can hold more than terabytes of data, right? And there's dumb, stupid, random facts that are stuck in there. And, like a lot of people say, like a song gets stuck in your head rent free, right? There's so much information inside that brain that, you just got to learn how to exercise it, right? And build that muscle, because that's all it is. It's a muscle. So a lot of reading, man, a lot of reading. A lot of news stories. That's why I like that you guys do the news, because that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
But I appreciate you having me on. It's sad that it's time to go.
Well, you know what, dude? Hey, listen. So you're officially now a lounge lizard.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, dude, you are. You're officially a lounge lizard now. So what that means is, dude, instead of being in these comments, bro, that you are every day, fucking we'll drop you a link and we'll bring you on. Doesn't matter who we have.
Message you that. I want to get on with JB. I sent you a text, but you're like, man, my phone's on silent. My bad.
It is, dude. I do. Because, man, one of those things Hunter said, he's like, Rob, he's like, man, you can hear your phone going off and stuff, dude, even though I set it away from the mic. And so and even though I have a watch, man, like this thing go, like, you'll see me 80 times a show it blows up. So sometimes I miss stuff. But
There's my buddy Robert. He says it's in Oregon. I'm gonna have to ask my wife, Robert. I'm gonna find out, and I'm gonna learn something new today. Right there. Robert is LTL reefer carrier. He's the one I was talking about that runs the Wisconsin. They're up in Wisconsin, and they run the Western 11, I believe. So if anybody needs an LTL carrier, Robert's the guy right there.
I'm gonna hook up with you, Robert. Where are you at? Where's he? Oh, there he is. I'm gonna go friend him right now. I'm gonna go friend him.
I actually have I have the list of all the lanes they run. If you want me to forward over to you, but I mean, me and Robert jumped on a call while I was driving the other day, heading to a shipper, and you know, we connected. It was cool. But yeah, LTL reefer right there, the unicorn in the industry.
That's fucking true. And that's facts.
Yeah, I don't know why there's not more, but there should be. And their company has a pretty cool story too. Behind them. I think it just posted their logo today. Badger State Western? They got the little Wisconsin Badger guy with the red and white stripes there with the big W. I only know that because of sports. But hey, I'm not gonna steal your line, but I think it's that time.
It is that time, and you're not stealing my line at all. You know what is what else can get stolen from you is your money if you're using the wrong platform to get your lane rate data. And if you don't want to lose that money, you want to get the best up-to-date, accurate data, then you need to be doing business with Lane Runner. Right now, you use that code scrolling at the bottom of the screen. It does exactly what the code says it does. Gives you a damn month for free. So go on over there, use that code, sign up, give them a try, and then we'll wait for you to come and comment in the show about how great you like them.
Welcome to the future of trucking with Lane Runner. Up to the minute, trustworthy spot market freight rates. Experience real-time, full truckload spot market rates at your fingertips. Stay ahead with our advanced rate alert system, ensuring you never miss a market move. Gain insights with our detailed high and low paying lane reports. Make informed decisions with comprehensive market reports tailored for your business needs. Lane Runner, accurate, real-time spot market freight rates at your fingertips. Efficiency, reliability, and profitability all in one platform. Join Lane Runner today and take your logistics to the next level. Spot market, spot on.
Something else that's reliable and that is going to help you with your profitability is the company that you choose to do your funding and have your fuel card through. Ton of factory companies out there. How do you know who to do business with? Well, I'm telling you who to do business with. Shoreline Capital. You just go on over there, do your application, use that code scrolling at the bottom of the screen, Lounge 365, and you get your first invoice up to $2,500 factored for free. That concludes this this wunderbar episode of the Logistics Lounge. We appreciate all you lizards joining us. All of you new prospective lizards, you're all prospective members, just like in a biker club. We'll go through the list there, right there. Robert, you're a prospective lizard. Andre, you too. Yeah. Y'all keep watching, keep commenting, and we'll bring y'all into the fold, and you get access to absolutely nothing except Hunter and I's beautiful faces.
Lane Runner and Shoreline credit.
That's right.
That's awesome that Shoreline Credit Capital's at 2.5%. When I was a carrier, I was stuck with a factoring company at 3.5%. So,
Bro, they do. They start at 2.5. They go as low as 1.5. Dude, they're really great people, man. Hunter and I say all the time, we don't allow anyone to advertise, and I do mean allow, or we do mean allow anyone to advertise on the show that we do not believe in what they're doing. Man, Clint's a great guy, man. I mean, that guy spent 20 years in banking, taking people's money, and now he's on the other side of it, trying to give people back more of their money. And he has the best motto for a factoring company that I've ever heard. And that motto for him personally is, I don't want you to be my customer for forever. He doesn't. He wants to teach you how to run your business, do shit right, how to keep capital flowing, and how to properly fund yourself and do all these things that you have capital of your own to be able to wait for net terms. So they're really good people, man. Like
awesome.
really are, man. They're fantastic. Hunter, you have anything, any closing comments, Roller Coaster?
No, brother. Great show, Ron. Once again, man. Thanks for hopping in. Definitely got to get you on a Freestyle Friday. Get you in a little bit of
Yeah.
chaos.
This Friday,
Right.
freestyle. You gotta come. You gotta come join us.
Even if
Rob's
it's
got
just
my
for 5
number.
minutes.
You just text me the link and I can jump in.
I will. I'll just DM you the link, bro, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yo, bro, we're on. Come in.
Yeah, dude, I will. Hey, 4 p.m. We'll be on at 4 p.m. So you just wait for that link. Tomorrow. Oh, hold on. Last comment. Salute, fellas. Salute to you too, sir. Salute to you too. Oh, let me ask this: Lane Runner expediting freight? No, they're a rate platform. They're trying to take over as much of the market space as they can from people like DAT and ITS or Truck Stop for all you new people. And yeah, man, just really great thing. We had him on the show last Thursday, Andre. So go to our YouTube and watch the show from last Thursday. And Tim with Lane Runner was on. He said a bunch of stuff. Had some carriers on that asked a bunch of great questions. So no, in short, no, they don't run expedited freight. They're all about giving freight rates. Tomorrow,
rates for expedited lanes. Like
not as of now. No.
Okay.
It's just the standard traditional stuff, van reefer, flatbed. Yeah. Tomorrow, awesome show. What do I say? Every fucking show is awesome. Tomorrow we have another awesome show. The legendary Ingrid Brown is coming on the show. If you do not know who Ingrid is, we talked about amazing women in this industry. Whoo-wee! Tell me, she is up there at the top echelon, man. I mean, just a fantastic lady. She's involved in a lot of stuff. She is also a wonderful photographer. So all you carriers out there, especially all you ladies, tune in tomorrow. She's been in this a long time. She's going to have some bombs of knowledge to drop, and y'all going to get to see firsthand what Ryan was talking about, how women in this industry, man, they're vicious, and they're taking over. They're doing things that men cannot. They're getting in places that we cannot. And it's always good to learn from others. So with that, as I always like to say, chunk the deuces. And Ryan, I don't give a shit what you say about this. Hunter, roll that beautiful bean footage.